Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of support materials, that is unit 1.2, where we'll be discussing about planning and use of flannel board. A flannel board is a display board with a flat surface made up of wood, cardboard or thermocol which is covered with woolen or flannel cloth. So we all are aware how a flannel board looks like, and we know the material that is used in order to prepare it, which involves a base, that is a display board, which has a flat surface either made up of wood, cardboard or thermocol, and is covered with a woolen or flannel cloth. The use of flannel board makes the teaching learning process easier as it allows you to display material which are easier for the students to relate to the concept, and it is useful in topics that require systematic development of a concept. If you are not very comfortable using a chalkboard, you can teach an entire lesson making use of a flannel board. It also provides a hands-on learning experience for students as they can easily make use of a flannel board. Now let us look at how or what are the things that we need to take care of before we plan and make use of flannel board in our teaching and learning environment. The flannel board must be prepared in advance as we need to use it during the lesson, and the material to be displayed on the board must be selected such that they are attractive and relevant to the content. So whatever material that you would like to display in the class using a flannel board, you must select it very consciously and see to it that it is attractive and relevant to the content that you will be teaching. A good quality of flannel is to be pasted at the back of the displaying material so that it gets stick to the flannel cloth or the woolen cloth, and materials should be arranged depending on the sequence of the lesson development, and you should know which material you would need at which point in the lesson and accordingly make use of it and display it on the flannel board. And the placement of the material should be decided so as to avoid overcrowding. So you should know how many pictures and how many cutouts you have to be displayed on the flannel board, and you should also plan how and where on the flannel board you would place it. So if you plan that in advance, it can avoid overcrowding, and it will enhance the overall presentation of the flannel board. Now, since we are talking about the presentation, let us also have a look at some of the important points that we need to take care of when we think of using a flannel board with regard to presentation. As a teacher, we must place the flannel board at an appropriate height so that the students can have a better view, so that whenever you place or make use of flannel board in the class, you must make sure that all the students in the class, even if you are sitting at the back of the class, should be able to see whatever that you would display on it. And the instructional material should be arranged sequentially in order to make it easier for the students to relate it to the concept. Care should be taken not to block the view of the students while explaining. And the materials once presented must then be placed face down to avoid mixing up, as you will have many pictures and many cutouts to be displayed, and every cutout or every set of pictures would have a particular sequence to be followed. You should be very careful in organizing its use so that it doesn't get mixed up and it saves your time during the lesson. Now let us have a look at some of the merits associated with the use of flannel board. The flannel board acts as a powerful visual prop which helps in better understanding and retention, as it is a visual media. It basically helps students retain the information for a longer time. It makes the presentation interesting and helps focus and arrest attention because it's all made of or it uses pictures, colorful displays. So it is easier to catch attention of the students. It allows instructional materials to be touched or moved back and forth by both by the teacher as well as by the students, as they can easily handle the flannel board, as it is just a sticking of a picture to a flannel cloth which is placed, or flannel board which is placed at a comfortable height which is appropriate for both the students and the teachers. And it is very convenient to display materials as there is no much of confusion involved in how and where to display it. And it is economical. Now let us look at some of its limitations, which involve making of the flannel board and material consumes a lot of time because you need to prepare that in advance, need to have those materials which are required to prepare a flannel board, and in order to also select materials to be displayed, preparing it or attaching a flannel cloth behind that as well takes a lot of time. Transportation and storage is also a problem because it is a bit huge, and if you have a bigger flannel board, it is always better as it provides you more space. So the transportation of such a bigger teaching material becomes an issue, and sometimes storage is also a problem if you do not have enough storage space in the school or in the classroom. And teachers may not have the skill to prepare neat and attractive material because it is equally important that you pay attention that the material which you are pasting or using on the flannel board is neat and attractive. So not all teachers can prepare or invest time in doing that. And it is not durable as the flannel material may get worn off due to course of time, and that can be one of the limitations. So this was about flannel board as a support material and how we can make use of it in the teaching and learning process, wherein we saw how to plan for using a flannel board, what are the things that we need to take care while presenting any concept using a flannel board and its merits and limitations. So now let us move to the next support material, that is the planning and use of chalkboard. So we all are aware of what a chalkboard is and how it looks like. So a chalkboard is a flat, reusable writing surface onto which drawings or texts are made using a chalk. So a chalkboard serves as a teaching aid in the sense that it helps to facilitate the teaching learning process because it provides you a space to write and to develop the lesson. It also makes the teaching learning process more attractive and interactive as you can use a chalkboard space to draw pictures and to develop the lesson. Next is, it helps retain the content which is taught in class, so that if you are developing a content on the chalkboard while you are teaching, it can give you a reference to the entire concept that you have taught in the class. So it is basically, it contributes to in retaining what is taught in the class. So now let us have a look at the planning part of it. So when we are planning to use a chalkboard, the teacher should take care of certain things like keep ready the supplementary material required for using the chalkboard. Now what is supplementary material we are talking about, like the duster, colored chalk, white chalk, and the other aspects that you would need while making use of the chalkboard. Keep ready like duster or cloth for cleaning the chalkboard. And teacher should not clean the chalkboard writing with his or her hand because it is not considered professional. Keep ready supplementary instructional material. Kindly excuse here because the spelling of instructional is incorrect. Keep ready supplementary instructional material in order to support to the content which you are teaching. And plan chalkboard work in advance. This is in order to avoid overcrowding, and if you have planned it in advance, it becomes easier for you to understand how much content you have and how long you will take to write and how you can organize your chalkboard work. And when it comes to presenting, we should take care of certain things like ensure that the chalkboard is clean before you start writing on it. You need to keep a main margin on the chalkboard so that it looks decent and it looks appropriate. You need to divide the workspace in parts. So if you have few tables to be drawn or certain diagrams to be drawn, you need to divide it properly so that it looks neat. Write and draw in clear and legible manner because it is important that whatever that you write should be legible and they should be in a position to read it easily and avoid making spelling errors or spelling mistakes. And break a piece of the chalk if it's quick, because sometimes if you use a long chalk, and due to the angle at which we hold it and how we write, if there is a possibility that it might produce a squeaking sound. So it's important that before you start writing with the chalk, you just break a piece of it and make use of that piece while writing on the chalkboard. Keep the chalkboard clean and tidy. Do not cover the material on the board by standing directly in front of it. So this is something which many teachers do, that while they are teaching or making use of a chalkboard, they cover the content on the chalkboard. So you have to be very careful that you are not covering the material that you have written on it. And avoid talking while writing on the board, because when you have to give certain instructions or discuss with them about the concept, you need to turn around and look at them and not look at the chalkboard and talk, because classroom management can get affected by that, and students get an opportunity that they don't listen to you. Erase the board completely after the lesson so it's ready for the use of the next teacher. It's very important that once your class is over and you have all your content written on it at the end of the class, so before you leave the class, you need to wipe the chalkboard and keep it ready for the teacher who is coming next. So these were some of the things that we need to take care of while presenting any content using a chalkboard as one of the support materials. Now let us have a look at the merits of using a chalkboard. As we know that it is the most available instructional material in the classroom. Every school does have at least this as one of the basic facilities. Then initial and recurring expenditure is minimal once you set up or once you buy a chalkboard, or you can just paint a wall and convert it into a chalkboard. So there is recurring expenditure is also very less. There is no maintenance for a chalkboard. It is simple to use, anyone can use it. The teacher can be flexible and make changes on the spot. If at all if there is any error while teaching, she or he can make changes to the content. Main points of the lesson can be maintained on the chalkboard, so it also allows you to maintain certain points that you will need further in the class. And it is used for summarizing the lesson. You can also use it for summarizing the lesson, as you would have whole concept put in a logical sequence in the chalkboard. So it also helps the teacher in summarizing the entire lesson. And students can also do drill work on the chalkboard that is can be easily used by the students, as once they are done with the use of it, they can wipe the chalkboard whenever they want. As we know that everything will have its advantages and disadvantages, so even chalkboard has certain limitations. So chalkboard height is fixed, so maximum usage may not be possible, because not all students will be in a position to make the maximum use of the chalkboard, because it is most of the time placed at higher height, so that can be one of the limitations. Chalkboard can become cloudy due to improper cleaning. So if you are making use of a chalkboard very consistently, you should also take care that it is cleaned properly, or else it can give a cloudy look, and whatever that you write on chalkboard which is not cleaned properly may not be visible. Material written on the chalkboard cannot be saved and reused in the next class because you need to wipe it so that content doesn't remain as it is when you come to the class for the next time in order to discuss the same topic. And it is not appropriate for students with visual impairment, so those who cannot see, it becomes difficult for them and is considered not appropriate for those students. Chalk produces dust and it can be allergic. So please read this as B. B is missing here. So chalk produces dust. Some of the teachers and some students are allergic to the dust. So that is considered as one of the limitations. So this was about how chalkboard can be used. What are the things that we need to take care of when we are planning to use a chalkboard. Then we also discuss about some of its merits and limitations. So this was all about chalkboard and flannel board. So if you have as a support material, so if you have any queries, please feel free to ask it in the chat box.